Hello, in this video I'm going to teach you the way to draw the lowercase x. I realized that in the video that was intended to be for V, W, X, Y, Z, I did not draw the x. And so I'm going to draw that right now. Now the lowercase x does, of course, borrow parts from letters like the V. In particular, I would begin by using the V. And also the K can become a factor for this too, because the K has the kind of bottom serif that we want to have, and it's a similar shape. But let's get the X in here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab V, and now what I don't want to do when I'm drawing these a character like this is I don't want to change this area. I want this to stay consistent with the rest of the typeface, the anatomy and the proportions of these serif elements. And obviously I want these stroke weights to work together, which I will have working correctly, but I first have to actually get the proportions of the entire character figured out. So what I'm going to do for the X is I'm going to move it up, because first we're going to need to actually have something in this area. And something like this will work for now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this part of the K, and I'm going to cut it, and I'm going to set this up so that I match the direction here. I want to match the direction of this diagonal stroke of X. See something like this. Okay, so obviously this is not working correctly just yet. And there we go. I merge it. And then what I just do is I check, is this giving me the right weight overall? And it's a little bit wider on the base, on the bottom. And now it's working pretty well. That's a little bit narrower. I'm going to give it that. Now this needs to be treated differently. I think most likely what will have to happen on this X, and many X's this happens, I actually have to reduce the space in here. And I need to move this in. Now the X is similar to other characters that we've been looking at, like S. Remember how we talked about S? This base needs to be wider than the top area. And the same general thing is applying for a letter like the X. It's a little bit more square, but it should be more or less like this. If we add a guideline in here, if this is my base, and there's something I can do, if I think this is about the best amount of space, because if I look down here, it's getting pretty tight already. I might even do something like this where I nudge this in, and I'll bring this up a little bit. And I'll make that so wide, but I'll bring this out even. And I'm going to bring this serif out like that. And I might even steepen the angle a bit. Okay. Bring it back a bit. Then what I'm going to do is I need to make sure that this is feeling pretty comfortable, but a way for me to tell if this angle is going to correspond in the bottom and make a comfortable stroke is just by reflecting it fully, getting it on the baseline. I'm going to have to change the serif direction here, but I'm not going to do that yet. I want to see, is this working? And right now, it would be better if the bottom counter was wider than the top. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to give this 50 units on either side bearing. And I'm going to move this out. And I'm going to move this up again. This guy is going to come down a bit. It's okay for the X to have juxtaposed, not juxtaposed, but offset strokes. They don't have to be a perfect bar. In fact, most typefaces, when you see the lowercase x especially, even the capital one, they don't tend to have these diagonals, these thin diagonals going in the same direction. That's actually not that common. So, and what you want is this letter X to feel like it's sitting straight upright. Right now, this one feels like it's leaning, it doesn't feel like it's straight up. And I think what that means is I have to bring this in a little bit to make the top a little bit narrower. And let's see what happens if I change the serifs. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use this as the reference. And I'm going to make this serif go in the same direction. And that's working much better. I feel like it's not wide enough actually, so what I might try to do, one thing that you can do to check too is think how wide was the Z and how is the X corresponding to that. Another thing is trying to get it to fit a little bit tighter would be helpful as well. Okay. I think actually what also might need to change is opening up the base and these serif joins. And this angle I think is not that great actually. It shouldn't be so steep. If you look at the angle beside it here and on the bottom, these angles are not going in that direction. They're in accordance with one another. Okay, so I think that this works generally for the X. Probably what would be better is to actually offset these a little bit more and to have something like that. That actually works even better. It opens up more counter space, which is valuable real estate inside the letters, especially when the letters start to get very bold. You'll notice if you're working on a weight parameter, when they start to really get bold and you start to lose counter space, these kind of characters really start to suffer from that. But, okay, there we go. That's an X, and I'll see